the single fastest growing component of the retail food sector right now is the sector called integrity convenience. That's the only sector that's really expanding right now. It's expanding at 8% a year, which is phenomenal in the food sector, because you got a certain number of people. People can't eat but so much, right? And so if you're watching the news and you're watching the old big companies, Heinz, Campbell's, whatever, that the food, if you can get a 0.5% growth in the traditional food sector, you're doing really, really well. So right now, integrity convenience is really moving forward. So what is that? We're talking about snack sticks. We're talking about frozen heat and eat pot pies, broth, all of the convenient stuff, snacky type stuff. 30% of all food in America right now is being eaten in automobiles. 30%. Sometimes I wonder if the push to the self-driving vehicle is not actually an ancillary thread from the fact that 30% of our food we're eating in automobiles. Okay? Look at the lines at the takeout window at McDonald's and Hardee's and Wendy's and stuff. It's humongous. If you're doing any kind of food service and you don't have a takeout window, you're behind the times. Okay, and that's one of the things that we're having to face. At our place, as somebody moved our cheese, I tell the team, nostalgia is wonderful. Nostalgia sells. It's a great story. Nostalgia is cool until you're one day into obsolescence. Okay, so there's a fine line there between nostalgia and obsolescence. All right, so you can collaborate with value adding, and you can take your core product and value add it forward. For example, when we began cutting up chicken, for example, man, we didn't. I'm tired of butchering chickens. I want to get them in the freezer and be done with it. And we'll teach you how to cut it up. If you don't know how to cut it up, we'll teach you how to cut it up. Well, no, I really want a boneless, skinless breast. I don't want to have to fool with any of that other. And again, move my cheese. 50 years ago, I'll be very sexist for a moment, every woman knew how to cut up a chicken. It just came with your DNA. You were born, it was part of your DNA. You knew how to cut up a chicken. Today, 50% of our customers, all of our customers are women, 50% of our customers don't even know that a chicken has bones. They don't. They think we go out and we pick we go out and pick boneless, skinless breasts. The boneless, skinless breast tree. Chickens are out there, whatever, growing like pears or something. And so that's called moving your cheese. Okay, that's a movement. Anyway, the year that we began cutting up chicken, this is a long time ago, we made an extra $20,000 on chicken without raising another chicken. That's the power of value adding. And guess what? We made a whole pile of new happy customers because of a collaboration by value adding. Okay? So you may do it. We've hooked up with a kitchen that does soup called 100 Bowls of Soup. We now send them pallet loads of necks and backs, and they make broth and chicken stock that we sell for $10 a quart, and it gives us $2 a pound for our salvage. Okay? We're not doing it, but we're collaborating with a value adder to let us do it. Hot dogs grew out of that. We had trouble moving some of we wanted something beyond sausage, and we were having trouble moving all the ground beef. Alan Nation used to say, he said, if you're direct marketing grass-finished beef, if you can't make your program work profitably on ground beef alone, don't start. Think about that a minute. If you can't make your program work on ground beef alone, I know a company in Virginia, boy, they came in with all the glitz and glitter and, artisanal food craft, blah, 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 put in a federal inspected slaughterhouse on the farm, and they hit the ground. I mean, they were a big splash, front page news and all the gourmet food, blah, blah, blah. And they lasted about 5 years and went out of business. And I got to sleuthing around trying to figure out what the deal was. The deal was that they were selling all the top end and not selling the ground, and they refused to take a lower price for the ground, so they were stockpiling it in a warehouse, a frozen warehouse in Richmond, and they had 1 million pounds of ground beef, and they went bankrupt. You got to sell everything. And what that means is lots of times we have to value add salvage stuff. What do you do with the necks? What do you do with the pork backbone? What do you do with stuff? We're struggling with that even, with stewing hens, all right? One of the ways that we have a lot of stewing hens because we're running 4,000 or 5,000 layers right now, and stewing hens are an issue. I mean, we try to sell them all, but we don't. Now that we're at this scale, we're struggling with trying to sell them all, and so there comes a point at which your price is so low, it's actually cheaper knock them in the head and compost them than it is to actually defeather them, gut them, all blah, 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 blah. So we've just hooked up, in fact, farmhounds, okay, in Atlanta. Good folks. They seem to be. I haven't met them yet. They're coming up to pick their first pallets. Well, they said they're working with White Oak Pat. When they said that, I said, well, they must be something in because Will's no dummy and works with people that pay their. I mean, we're always concerned about getting our, paying their bills. You get in this very long. Alan Nash used to say, remember, in the food business, you don't want to do any get it now and pay later because you can't repossess yesterday's meal. It's pretty hard to foreclose on yesterday's lunch, all right? And so anyway, if you're in this very long, you'll find out about accounts receivable and getting your bills paid, and it's an ugly business sometimes. People that just smile and you think, oh, they're just pure as a wind driven. They talk about earthworms, they talk about bumblebees, oh, they must be a wonderful person, and I mean, and they don't pay. Yeah. Anyway, this farmhounds outfit does dog food, pet food. And so they're coming up to get their first pallet load of stewing hens and gizzards and stuff. And with the Weston A. Price Foundation, Sally Fallon's group, in the last 5 years, we've quit having to compost chicken feet. We know we need 4-legged chickens. People started out, they started with Weston A. Price, and next thing you know, they're asking, can we get feet? Well, sure, we'll save you the feet. How much? I don't know, 50 cents a pound, that's fine. It's just a salvage. We don't really compost them. And I mean, people started coming getting feet, and then we couldn't keep them in. We raised it to $1, went to $1.50. Still couldn't keep them in. $2. We still can't keep them in. And so between the pet food with the gizzard and the feet, we're looking at an extra now, almost $1 a chicken today that we weren't capturing just a couple of years ago. That's pretty cool. That's a game changer. You do 40,000 chickens, that's $40,000. Okay? Little things like that add up, So, hot dogs grew out of that. We were having trouble moving all the ground beef, and we had ground beef. We have something else, and so we collaborated with a guy that worked with us to start the hot dogs, and now we're selling. I don't know, $50,000 worth of hot dogs a year. It's not a mainstay, but again, it's a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and it adds up. So value adding, making sure that you've salvaged everything, that you're taking everything to a higher level if you can, and moving it through. I mean, a food truck, diner. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've just done a little bit of thing, but I could make this value adding list here about 5 times as long as it is. I mean, there's tons of other things that you can do in the value adding sector to move that forward. Institutions, remember that there are things that you can collaborate with. Farm tour packages. I mean, there are organizations that organize farm tours and events. I mean, think about if you have a beautiful place, collaborating with ecotourism. It's a huge thing. Contact the local urban Sierra Club, Audubon Society, Isaac Walton League, okay, and collaborate with a bus tour, okay, and you can feed everybody and you can put a price on it, and go with that. Demonstration farms. I mean, there's all sorts of things. Publicity and events, tours. Remember, there is a hunger beyond food in our culture for connections to nature, connections to farms, connections to agriculture stories. Okay, there is a real hunger there in our culture for that. So tours. We several years ago. So Teresa's the introvert. I'm the extrovert. I'm sure you couldn't have guessed that. And several years ago, we kind of felt crowded with the number of people who were coming to the farm. Of course, I love people. Teresa, goes and hides. And so we said, how can we? But we also know that people come with money and they want to spend it, so spend it here. And so we said, my tension with it was I wanted to talk to everybody, and at the end of the week, I couldn't get any work done because I was always saying hi to, where are you from, and talking to these people that came. So I needed relief from feeling like an obligation to greet everybody. Teresa needed a relief from feeling like she had to go incognito to pull weeds in the flower bed. And so we started brainstorming, well, how can we have people come to the farm that's compatible with both an extrovert and an introvert, so I can get my work done. You don't have to hide, and we can work this out. So we started the farm tours, the lunatic tours, hay wagon tours, and we did it for free. And the whole idea was to free me up. So if you want to talk to me, if you want my undivided attention, here's a day set aside for you to get it. You want to come from wherever you come from, and you want my undivided, you can come. And Teresa could look at the schedule and say, oh man, Wednesday, we got 100 people coming. I think I'll go make bank deposits that day, or work in the office or whatever, right? Okay. So she was able to schedule her time to not be with people, and I was able for the first time, and I love people. So you come to the farm, and now I was freed up from feeling like I had to go and say hi, because if you really want me, you'll come on a lunatic tour. Okay, the schedule's on the website. You sign up. It's an RSVP. All right, and so we did this for the first year for free to try to accommodate within our emotional traits the people. And the problem was, as the season, so all the seats filled up real quick. 12 tours, 100 adults, and all the kids that go with them staggered through the season. Everything filled up real fast, but as we got to the end of the season, half the people didn't show up. So we said, oh, we got to get skin in the game. So the next year we said it's $10 a seat. Okay, they put something in the game. All right, that solved the no-show problem. Okay, non-refundable $10, come. All right. And we did that for a couple of years, and that really worked. And then we gradually raised it to 15. Now we're at 20. We've been 20 for 2 or 3 years. So now these 12 tours generate, between the 20 times 100 is 2,000 a tour, times 12 is 24,000. And each tour they spend over $1,000 in the store. So we're looking at a $36,000 move of the needle, and of course the tour, we don't have any cost of goods in the tour. That's just time, okay? So that's a really high margin thing, and so we've taken this point of angst and contention into a new profit center. Hickory Hill Gap Farm in North Carolina. They started on-farm dinners. And they do, I'm trying to think, they do one a month. I think it's 8 through the season. I think it's 100 people at $50 a plate, okay? And they offer them, start them in May or April, May, June, right through the season, 8 of them. And 100 people, that's $5,000 a meal. And in less than 24 hours of putting the schedule on the website in March, they're sold out. 5,000 times 8 is what? $40,000 a 1 month. Could you do a once a month meal for 100 people? Now, you know, that's going to take some, you got to get your act together. But think about it. I mean, if you've got a barbecue pit or something where you can, you know, get together some scale, some volume, and maybe there's a friend that loves to cook and will, you know, do a couple of the dishes for $200, okay? And so you share a little bit of it, and you pull this off, and you've got these people that come out to the farm, and I mean, they're just ecstatic. You give them a little farm tour, a little bit of infotainment, a nice meal, a nice relaxing time at the dinner with their kids, you know, and it's cool, all right? So think about all these collaborative ways that you can leverage your core business with talents, product, and opportunity in your area. I mean, complementary expertise. You can have, you know, yoga at the farm, okay? We've had bird watching clubs, okay? They can come, you know, craft, cheese making classes. Man, everybody's into culinary craft now. Culinary craft, if you have a nice way to offer a class, and you don't have to be the expert, okay? We have a lady in our area that's a cheese crafter. I mean, she's quite renowned. And so she comes, does a cheese class for 12 people. They each pay $100, okay? She makes her $500 for the day. She's thrilled, okay? She gets to teach. We take a couple $100 in royalty. And you know what those 10 people do, or 10 or 12 people do before they leave? They shop in the farm store and they buy $100 a piece. That's where we're making our money. We've just created a platform, a facilitated platform to get people. That's the point. Are you with me? So don't get fearful or you know, concerned when I start talking about events and all this collaboration. The point is, it is collaboration. It's not you doing it all. You're simply hooking in with complementary fits in your area in order to stimulate interest, to stimulate buzz, Snapchat photos, okay? I'm Joel Salatin, editor of Stockman Grass Farmer. Thank you for watching this Stockman Grass Farmer video, where grass farming is celebrated for its possibilities and opportunities. You'll find more at the links here to find additional material in our library. You can see a lot of different videos and enjoy learning more about grass farming. We look forward to visiting with you more and more here as you make Stockman Grass Farmer part of your video portfolio.